Good morning, students. Today's lesson is um, question tags. So today we're going to be covering this topic. I am going to give you the introduction. I am going to give you the objectives of the class for today. So for listening, we will be able to identify question tags. In speaking, we will be able to use question tags in a conversation and in an interview. For reading, we will be able to scan contexts in which tag questions are used. And for writing, we will be able to use question tags in a sentence. Okay, so have you ever heard about this topic, question tags? Okay, if not, I'm going to give you some sentences. So I would like to explain to you what a question tag is first. A question tag is it's a question that is followed after a sentence. What is the purpose of this? What is the purpose of this question? The purpose of this question is to make 100% sure that you are confirming something, that you are making assumption of something. If when you say, for example, I'm going to give you, if I say Mary is a teacher, I am 90% sure that Mary is a teacher. I just need you to confirm that she is a teacher. That's why at the end of this sentence, it's the question tag. Okay, so so when you are using a question tag, you are essentially making sure that you are correct about something by confirming what you think or assume to be true. All right. So here I have 3 sentences. The first one says Mary is a teacher. You are smart. And the last one, it says Mary runs every day. Okay, so for the first one, Mary is a teacher. How do I make the question tag? I'm going to use the auxiliary. I'm going to take this. I have to take the auxiliary verb, and Mary is the subject. So this auxiliary verb, when I make the question tag, it will be negative. Okay, the auxiliary verb will pass as a negative. So what's the negative of is? Isn't. So I write next to the sentence isn't. So who are we talking about? Mary. Mary is a he, a she, or it. What is Mary? It's she. So we are going to use she. Isn't she? And the question mark. Mary is a teacher. Isn't she? That's our question. That's our question tag. Okay? So let's see the next example. You are smart. What is the auxiliary verb in this sentence? Are. Okay? So how do we pass this? Negative. Okay? Don't forget that we have to pass the auxiliary verb in negative. Okay? So what's the negative of are? Aren't. Aren't. And what is the subject? You. Aren't you? So it will be like this. You are smart, aren't you? Okay, take a look at this. So here we have another example. We have Mary runs every day. Mary runs every day. So this one is a little bit tricky. I don't want you to get confused with this, because here we have a verb. We don't have an auxiliary verb. We have a verb. Mary runs every day. So what we do in this case, okay. So what we do in this case, so the only exception for this is when we have to use do. So do is always a bit tricky, as I told you. So for example, if I said if you say John likes to eat pizza, or John likes pizza, we don't say John does like pizza, right? Here the helping verb does is implied because generally when we make questions with action verbs, we use a form of do for the helping verb. So if the sentence is John likes chocolate, what would be the question? Not the tag question, the question. Does John like chocolate? Right? You see, to make a question, we use the auxiliary verb does. So for the tag question, it will be John likes chocolate, doesn't he? All right. So in our sentence here, Mary runs every day. How do we make the question tag? Mary runs every day. Remember that we have to make it negative. All right. So it will be doesn't. Doesn't, and we are talking about Mary, so we use she. Mary runs every day, doesn't she? I just want to make sure you are understanding the difference, okay? Because here we have the auxiliary verb is, we have the auxiliary verb are, but here we don't have one. So every time you see the verb here, you just gotta think about how do you make a question with this sentence. Mary runs every day. Make a question with this sentence. How will you make a question with this sentence? It will be, does Mary run every day? Right? Does Mary run every day? That will be a question. So what you are using? You're using a auxiliary does, right? So you have to use that auxiliary for the tag question. But remember that you have to make it in negative. So it will be, doesn't she? Okay, we're going to make more, we're going to practice a little bit more. So you practice and you will understand this better, okay? So what happens if I have a question, I mean a sentence in the past? For example, okay, I'm going to write it down here. For example, I have a, in the past, I have John spoke to me. Okay, the last one. John spoke to me. Okay. We are using the verb in the simple past. What will be the auxiliary verb to make a tag question? So as I told you before, you have to think. If you don't recognize it right away, a good way to do it, it's making a question. You're going to make a question with this sentence. How do you make a question with this sentence? John spoke to me. How do I make a question in simple past? You have to remember we covered that last 2 weeks ago. Okay, so I use the auxiliary did. Did John speak to me? Okay, so what's the auxiliary? Did. Okay, so that's what I'm going to be using for the tag question. But don't forget that we have to use it in negative. So it will be didn't. And we are talking about John. So what will be the subject? He. Didn't he? So take a look. John spoke to me. Didn't he? Okay, we're going to be using some examples. I'm going to give you a lot of examples and you guys are going to practice a lot. I want to give you another example. For example, what if I have what if I have the let's do it. Let's do the first one. What if I have this in negative? What if it says Mary isn't a teacher? What happened there? What if this one is negative? I'm going to change it so you see it better. Mary isn't a teacher. Here the auxiliary verb is negative. So if it's negative here, how do I pass to the tag question here? I have to make it positive. Okay? The sentence says, Mary isn't a teacher. What is the positive of isn't? Is. Mary isn't a teacher. Is she? Okay, it will be the same with the, let's do the next one. You are smart. Let's make it negative. So now I say, you aren't smart, or you are not smart. You are not smart. If this is negative, I have to pass in positive. What is the positive of are not or aren't? What is the positive? Are. You are not smart, are you? So let's do this, the next one, negative. Mary runs every day. What will be the negative of Mary runs every day? What is the auxiliary? Mary runs every day. How do I make it negative? Mary doesn't run every day. Mary doesn't run every day. I have negative. I have a negative here. How do I pass? Positive. What is the positive of doesn't? Does. Mary doesn't run every day. Does she? With the last one. John spoke to me. How do I make it negative? John didn't speak to me. John didn't speak to me. How do I pass it? If it's negative, I'll make it positive. John didn't speak to me. What's the negative? What's the positive of didn't? Did. Did he? That will be our tag question. All right. All right, kids. So I'm going to give you some examples, some exercises, and we're going to be working in a worksheet that I'm going to give it to you. And if you have any questions, you can raise your hand and let me know, okay?